Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on this bracelet using Vexolo beads, SuperDuos, Chatons, 11Os, 3mm and 4mm bicones. That all came from the Sweet Romance collection by Eureka Crystal Beads. So that's their most recent collection for February. And so pretty. You have all the beads to make this. The only thing I changed was the 11Os and the 15Os. I like a metallic sort of, to pop out, but you do have some 11Os and 15Os in the collection that you can just make this whole thing. And I think it's so pretty. The one we're going to work on today is this one, because I don't have any more of these beads left. I used them from the collection. So I made a little mini bracelet here that we'll make together today. And I used some beads that I had in my stash. But you can, like I said, if you have the collection, you have everything there to make this bracelet. All right, so I'm going to clear everything off, get a materials list going, and we'll get started. Let's get a materials list going. So I'm going to give you the materials for the sample we're going to make today, and this will be listed in the description box below the video if you want, and the collection, I'll link that as well in case you want to make this one. So we're going to start with some Vexolo beads. So here I have some here. And then you've got a 8mm Chaton. It's so pretty. 11O seed bead, 15O seed bead. I've got a SuperDuo. I've got two bicones, a 4mm and a 3mm. And this color I don't think is made anymore. This is the Palace Green Opal. It's a Swarovski. I wish they'd come back with that color. Somebody would. It's so pretty. We've got a clasp. You either want, or you want some, just a little length of Rolo chain and some jump rings, or just all jump rings. That's fine. I've got 8-pound fire line, size 10, but you want a 12 also. I just couldn't find my 12s right away. So don't forget the 12 or 11 or 12 as well, because you have some 15Os you're going through. Got a little stop bead going there. So I think that's everything. So like I said, everything will be listed in the description box below the video. If you have the collection, the Sweet Romance collection, you're good. You're good to go. All right, so I'm going to clear this off and we'll get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 3 feet of thread. Put on a stop bead around, I don't know, 12, 15 inches from the end, because we'll use that to make the bezel if you want to do the bezel. So I've picked up and dropped down to my stop bead a SuperDuo 11O, SuperDuo 11O, SuperDuo 11O, SuperDuo 11O. So I have 4 SuperDuos separated by 4 11Os. Okay, so I'm going to drop those down. I'm going to sew those into a circle. So I'm just going to sew through all the beads. After the stop bead until I get a nice little unit going here. I'm going to come all the way around. I'm going to pass the stop bead and the thread by a few beads, just to be away from where I connected there. I'll just go maybe one more. And you want to be exiting the bottom hole of one of your SuperDuos. Okay, so I'm exiting the bottom hole. I'm just going to sew through the top hole of the SuperDuo I was exiting. Exiting the top hole of my SuperDuo, I'm going to picked up the Vexolo bead. I'm doing it at the bottom here at the point, a SuperDuo and a Vexolo. Exiting here, I'm just going to sew through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. And this is what it looks like. So I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm going to pick up Vexolo, SuperDuo, and a Vexolo, like that. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through the next top hole of the next SuperDuo. Just make sure when you pick up those beads, because they do have a top and a bottom, that you always have this side up, just like that. So do that 2 more times and come back and we'll continue. Coming down to the end and putting on my last Vexolo SuperDuo Vexolo, exiting here, I'm just going to do what I did before. I'm just going to sew through that top hole of the next SuperDuo, but I'm just going to go on through the Vexolo as well. And then I'm going to go, just going to sew through a few beads just to get away from my connection point. That. And just going to exit the bottom hole of that of a Vexolo bead. This is what it looks like so far. So before we move on, I'm going to take my stop bead off my tail thread and thread a needle, turning my piece over, and you see where your thread is coming out right here. I just want you to go through the top hole of the SuperDuo. Your thread is coming out, and I want your thread to come out of the top. So instead of going like this, so it's coming out of on the bottom of the unit, just do it so it's comes out through the front of the unit, because that's just going to make it easier later for us to get the bezel on. All right, so this is what we have. So now we have a little floppy unit, which you're going to tighten up. So we're exiting the bottom hole of the Vexolo. I'm just going to sew through the top hole like that. I pick up a 3mm bicone. So we're exiting the top hole of this Vexolo. I'm just going to put a 3mm bicone between the two. So just through the top hole of the next one. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0 and I'm going to sew through the next SuperDuo. And then I'm going to pick up another 11-0 and I'm going to sew through the next Vexolo like that. We're going to repeat that all the way around. So 3mm bicone, 11-0, 11-0, the Vexolos there, and then 3mm bicone through the next one. So we're just repeating that all the way around. Coming down to the end, so I put on a bicone, and now I'm going to put my 11-0 on here. My 11-0. Last 11-0 is going to go through that top hole of the Vexolo, through the bicone, through the next Vexolo, and if you can get at the 11-0, but I can't, so I'm just going to sew through the Vexolo and then pop through that 11-0. That's what I have. Gee, I love those colors together. They look really nice. Let's move on. So we're going to go pick up some 15-0s now. We're going to take 3 15-0s. Exiting this 11-0, I'm just going to sew through to the next 11-0, like that. Got those 3 15-0s on. I'm just going to continue sewing through my beads until I get to the next group of 11-0, SuperDuo 11-0, like that. And I'm going to exit the 11-0. Then I'm going to add 3 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the next Vexolo. Make sure they pop down nicely, like that. And then through the bicone Vexolo and the next 11-0. So then I can add 3 15-0s here. Like that. So you're just going to continue that all the way around, just decorating around this the SuperDuo. And I'll see you at the end. Putting on my last 3 15-0s. So I'm exiting this 11-0, just going to sew through that next 11-0. Like that. And the, oops, my thread just came off my needle. And the next Vexolo. And if you want to use this, if you have a lot of thread left and you want to continue using it, you can use it to attach your pieces, or you can just end off your thread here. So I'm going to I think I'm just going to end off my thread, and then we'll come back and we'll work on the bezel. So I'm using the other thread. Remember, we threaded the needle and we moved it up to the top hole of that interior SuperDuo. So I'm going to pick up 7 of my 15-0s, and I'm just going to sew through the next top hole of the next SuperDuo. Now you have to bend it over. Don't worry about it. Just, bend it over to get it in, because it's you know, with all these beads, it's a tight fit. So it did, you know, look what I had to do to get it in, but it works. So I have my 7. You can do that again. 7 15-0s. Exiting this tuple of this SuperDuo. So through the next one, and just bend it over so to get it in. Then you're going to do that 2 more times, and then we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the end, I have my last 7 15-0s. So I'm exiting the top hole of this SuperDuo. Just going to sew through the next one, just bending it a little bit so I can get through. And then I'm going to sew up through the first 4 15-0s that I put on. That's what it looks like. Next up, we're going to pick up 4 15-0s. And I'm going to sew through bead number 4 of my next group of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And do that again. Pick up 4 15-0s. I'm going to sew through bead number 4 of the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, bead number 4 of the next 7. I mean, you could pop your stone in now. Or you could wait, you know, and just kind of move it around a bit. But so that's what it looks like if I pop the stone in. Pick up 4. And then I'm going to go through the bead number 4, that first group I put on. So that's this one. That's where I started from. Like that. And your stone isn't going to stay it. But then when I pull, this is what it looks like. So now in order to get this to stay, you want to sew through all the beads you just put on. So the 4, and then through that corner bead. And don't worry if it pops out. And then the 4. Just kind of play with it a little bit. Oops. 4, and then the corner bead. And if your stone, see how it's starting to come together? So just, you know, hold your thumb there. Don't worry about it. It will definitely come together. So the 4 and the corner bead. Like that. One more time. The 4 and the corner bead. Like that. You give it a nice tight pull at this point. And you can go through again, but you're good. I would do it as many times as you can get through, because you've just, you know, gone around once, right, to reinforce. So now you can feel it's getting tight. You know, keep going a little bit until it feels nice and secure. And this is what it looks like. Cute, huh? So nice little unit. So we're going to make as many as you need to fit your wrist. I had 6 units for this one, and you can put an extension on it. So if you're at half a unit and you're like, oh, this doesn't fit, we're going to do this extension, and you can make this extension even longer if you want. So no problem, get it around as best you can, and then we'll put on the extension and the clasp. All right, so have fun. I'll see you back here in a little bit. Just a note about ending the bezel thread. So you've come around, you're happy with how secure it is, exiting one of these corner beads. I'm just going to put a little half hitch knot here. So I'm just going to take my needle, slip it under, make a loop, and then I'm going to sew through the loop, and I'm going to make sure that loop stays in between that corner bead and the next bead. So pull it very slowly. See that? And make sure. See that? So now it's gone in between, the knot has gone in between those 2 beads. And then I'm just going to advance my needle through the next few beads. And you can do the corner bead here too. And you can put another knot in. I don't know how many you need. I think just a couple will do. But that's a really good way to end it. If you want to end it around these beads somewhere, then just sew through here, these 3 beads. And then try to get yourself through one of the 2 hole beads. And you can work it that way also. But I think this is going to be the easiest way to end it. So how's that? Okay, so here we go. And I was looking at that and thinking how pretty that would make a pendant. What a pretty pendant that would make. So here you can put a leather cord on it. You can put a ribbon on it or a chain. And if you just want to make a pendant, you make a pendant. But we're going to make a bracelet. Let's sew 2 units together. So I'm facing them like so. So the bicones are facing the bicones. I'm exiting this hole of a Vexolo. I'm just going to pick up 3 11-0s and I'm just going to sew through the Vexolo on the other side, the 3mm bicone, and the Vexolo. And you might have to sort of wiggle your needle around a little. There we go. Like so. Then I'm going to take 3 11-0s. So you're exiting the top of this Vexolo. I'm going to go back to the other side and go through the Vexolo and that 3mm. And you know, you might have to bend things a little bit to get everything through. This is what I have so far. Okay, so I'm exiting this bicone, the bottom of this bicone right here. I'm going to pick up, you're going to pick up 2 or 3 11-0s. For the pink bracelet, I did 3, but this one, it seemed a bit tight, so I'm going to try 2 11-0s, and I'm going to come through the top bicone and, ouch, the Vexolo. And just pull and see how that works. Let's see, so there we go. And then what you want to do is continue around. So we're going to go through these 3, and then we'll see if the 2 are working out or not. And then back up all these guys on this side. And then you're just going to give it a little pull. Oh, I think that's going to work for this one. And then, of course, you want to go back around to tighten this up. So I'm going through these 3 again, and then back down through the Vexolo, the bicone, and this Vexolo. So just one around a couple times. And you want to make sure you kind of pop it into place so that it's, you know, it's all sitting nicely, because you want these 2 guys to kind of meet, but you don't want to buckle it up too much. So that worked. So either 2 or 3, and then you're just going to tie that thread in. See, on this one, I ended up using 3, and I think because the 11-0s I used here are coated, so they're a little bit bigger. They look a little bit thicker, even though they're both Miyuki. So I think that's the reason that I only used 2 here, but I think that looks pretty. All right, so then you're just going to sew that thread in, and then you're going to add each unit on, and then you come back and we'll put on the clasp. A little note. I know I like to put a little notes in here and there when you are coming on. So after you've put on your initial beads here and then you're reinforcing, when you come down, you've put these 2 on, you've come around. When you come down here, exit this bicone and go through the 2 again, like that, and then come down through the top of this bicone. So you say you're coming through the bottom and then down through the top, and that straightens them out if they happen to be a little, you know, if they're not sitting right. So remember, you're coming around, you've already put these 2 on, coming down here, coming out of the bottom, sewing through here, going through the top, going down again, and then you can just tie in your threads. So I just wanted to give you that little option just in case, you know, you want to make sure that all your beads are sitting straight. We're going to make a mini bracelet, but I want you to prep the clasp before we do the ending. So we're going to do this ending like that. So let's prep the clasp. So easy. So take the ring to your toggle. So there we go. And you want to attach a jump ring to that toggle. So there's my jump ring, like that. See that? And then you want to put another jump ring on, like that, and then another jump ring right here. So see, it looks like a little Rolo chain. So on this one, I actually did use 2 links of a Rolo chain right here. Let's see if I can pull it. And then I attached the jump ring, and then I put the the toggle ring on. And the reason I did that was because that way I don't have to open 3 jump rings. I only have 1 point that's open, and that's just the one that's attached here. But you know, either one works. So you want to prepare this part, and then you want to do the toggle bar as well the exact same way. So see that? That's what it looks like. Okay, so get that done, and then we'll attach everything. Let's get the end on here. So I've threaded my needle with enough thread just to add the clasp. Put on a stop bead, leave your tail to sew in. I've just sewn through the Vexolo, the 3mm bicone and the Vexolo, and then I've picked up an 11-0 4mm bicone, 11-0 4mm bicone. And then I'm going to pick up one end of my clasp. So I'm picking up that I've prepared. So I'm going through that loop right there, that ring. And then I'm going to pick up another 4mm, another 11-0, another 4mm, and I'll show you in a sec, and an 11-0. So this is what I have on my needle. I have 11-0 4, 11-0 4. Then I have the ring to my clasp. I have a 4mm 11-0 4mm 11-0. It's exactly what you want on your needle. Okay, all we're going to do now is just sew through the other end where we started from, just like that. And this is what it looks like. So you want to make sure that you want to reinforce this, and you want to make sure that this jump ring, or whatever you're using here, if you're using the Rollo chain or jump ring, make sure it's sitting nice and tight around, with the bicone on either side. All you're going to do is reinforce. So to do that, you're just going to untangle your threads. Okay, here we go. And you're just going to continue. So we've gone through the Vexolo. We're going to continue through all the beads. Like that. And just see when that happens, push it in like that so that it's right in the center there. You don't want this hanging on thread. Through all the beads again, like that. And you can do that a couple times until it feels nice and secure, and then you're just going to sew your threads in at that point. And for this side, you're going to do exactly the same thing. It doesn't change. It goes on exactly the same way as this one did. So get that done, come back, and we'll finish up. Okay, we're back and we're done, and how pretty is that? Absolutely love both the colors. I love the greens. I'm a green fan. And I think the pink is so pretty. So very, very easy to make. If you don't want to make a bracelet, as I was saying during the video, just hold it this way. Make a cute little pendant, put it on a leather cord or a rubber cord. How cool is that for summer? All right, so here you go. Here's your bracelet using Vexolos. And again, I'll link everything down below in the description box, places to purchase beads, links to different beads, websites, etc. So again, I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.